Mm.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good
Ah,
morning, Patrice. How are you?
I am wonderful. It is so good to be back in the love of our community.
I know.
Mm.
Good morning, dear audience. We're so pumped to be here. If you are here
Mm.
live, hashtag lives and let us know who you are so we can interact with you and
Mhm.
discuss with you and just be with you for the next 20 to 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Otherwise, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, ask as many questions as you want onto the comment section below, and we will make sure we reply to all of your comments. I'm making sure it's live on the page, and it is. So it's
It is.
wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful. So let's get a little heads up, right?
Hmm.
You were sick. How are you doing now?
I am feeling better. I am feeling better. My energy levels are up, and I feel like there's just been this download of stuff pent up inside of me that I wanted out. So, a lot of content writing and a lot of juicy things coming, I think, in the next couple of weeks.
That's so
So,
cool. Did you
yeah.
feel the negative momentum building up where you were sick?
Mm, I did. And, it was interesting because while I knew I had to honor what my body was telling me and what my needs were in the 3D world, there was a real fight. There was such like it was a bitter battle from myself because I had a desire to be on calls. I wanted to be with our community, but my body was physically just done. And so I had it, and I felt like as I fought, I was um I was even more exhausted because I was exhausted both mentally and physically. And it was really when I just, there was a day where I just thought, okay, I've got to lean into this. And it was once I leaned into it truly that I was able to start to repair myself and start to feel more like myself and start to feel better. And it happened so quickly after that.
It is so crazy. So for you guys, just to know, I'm in Palm Springs, so I'm still in vacation mode. Also, I work, but I work
Mhm.
in a beautiful place. Let me show you, right?
It is
Beautiful. And there
lovely.
is a pool behind me, so it's just wonderful.
Mhm.
This morning was just a perfect example how you can just like jump into that negative momentum and keep building up onto that very small moment who can design the whole day. So I'm here with the whole family. The house is big, but not big enough for me to sneak around and go into, outside to do my workout, to do my meditation without waking up my kids, without being annoying for everybody else. So 6 a.m., because I said to myself, okay, not before 6 because it's a family trip. You don't want to be that person, crazy person. So 6 a.m., I hear my alarms goes off and it's very like a very tiny sound. It's like birdies, right? So it's not supposed to wake anybody else. So I woke up and now I see my kids awake as well. And I'm like, oh, screw me. I cannot do my routine. And so I could have gone like this way the whole day and being like upset. I'm not going to do my routine. It's going to be here. And I do love my baby, right? But I do need as well my 1 hour of for myself every morning. But I kept building up on that thought, right? That thought of him awake made me feel like, anxious, stressed because I wasn't able to do my routine, right? So from anxiety, I had two choices. I could take action or not take action, let it be. And I got an idea from my emotion. So go back to the ID stage. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take the baby, put him into the bed, give him the screen. I'm a bad mom, but at least I have my hour. So giving the screen, sneak around, go outside. So now I'm like, ooh, uplifting. I can have that hour for myself. Also, I needed to check all the doors to make sure that it cannot go outside because there is a pool. So after I was all secure and set, I sat in the middle of the grass and meditate for 10 minutes. meditation is done, I'm doing my workout. So I start to work out and stuff. And now suddenly the water goes off. And so I'm wet trying to work out, right? So there is a result that give me like different idea and different thoughts from it. So I can either like be thinking like, oh, it's a pain in the butt, and that's the thought I can bring on and building back up onto the negative momentum. Or I could be, this is refreshing, I'm just going to move around and keep going because this is the only time I can do it. I chose option 2 because I set myself up for success by sending my son with the screen on a quiet moment. So I could have a clear path of my thought. That thought, I'm going to just move around, uplift my feeling right away. And I felt empowered and I felt proud of myself making that decision. So I finished, I took action, I did my whole workout. From that, the result of doing that was me feeling proud, was me having the time to just like go a little further and jump on the pool, go back to my son who was well rested and stuff. And so I tweaked, instead of keeping building the negative momentum, I interrupted it. I'm not saying it's easy, and it's certainly easier here in Palm Spring than anywhere else in the world. Absolutely. But today we're here to talk about how you identify that negative momentum and how you can interrupt it in a way that is easy and effortless for you, and in a way where you can actually detach yourself from your ego self and kind of laugh at the ego trying to be angry and naughty about the situation, but you're just next to it and you're like, okay, you show up this way. So I love you, I accept you, but today I'm going to laugh at what you're saying because I know better. So Patrice, I would love to have some thoughts around that. And then I think I'm going to give a sneak peek of, the pre-work program, and I'm going to share the graphic.
Oh, wow. Okay. Are you ready to do that? I don't know if is the community really ready for the awesomeness that is the pre-work program? Oh, you're
I'm
muted.
muted, yes. I do
Yes.
hope so. I do hope so. I see we have some viewer. Please let us know who you are. We want to know who you are.
Yes, yes, yes. You know, I feel like as a society, we often tend to downplay just how massive a shift it is to stay present in the moment and make those pattern interrupts. We and when I say we, I don't mean it when we're talking to somebody else, but when we're doing it for ourselves. You know, especially as women, we say things like, well, it's okay, I'll just adapt, I'll just, I'll just make it, I'll make it, I'll do the best with what I have. But that is a master move. That's a huge moment. And so often we do get caught up. We live in a 3D world. We live in a 3D world where people, where things happen. The world happens. We get sick. Our children get sick. We have experiences that were not our preference. So it is such a master move. And I feel like we all should just give ourselves the pat on the back for those moments when we're able to be in the 3D world and it is not going how we envisioned it. And we're still able to say, this is okay. This isn't how I saw it, but this is okay. This is good. This is great, even. How well rested did you feel at the end of your meditation? I would imagine that after you got over that initial moment of maybe like a twinge of frustration, that the water felt pretty good in the desert. The desert's hot, you know.
The water was warm, but it felt very, very good. And it's so very funny because the way because I've been practicing that in every part of my life, business including. And the reason why we're giving like a real life from your life example and not always from your business, although we can absolutely comment with business example, it's because if you can understand the basics of it on very little simple situation, then you can apply it extendedly to your business, to your relationship, to everything that you are manifesting in your life at the moment. The way you identify that patterns, it's you have to be the observer. You have to become aware of the way you feel. You have to become aware of your thoughts. That's the hardest part. When you become aware of the way you think and how you feel, then it becomes easy to interrupt the pattern, or at least to see the pattern creating itself and building up one thought at the time, one action at the time, one result at the time, one idea at the time. But the most important part, and we discussed about that right before, it's to become so close to how you feel and how you think that right away you exactly know if it's something that is going to uplift you, so positive momentum, or if it's something that is going to drain your energy. And no matter what that event or idea is that's going to build up your thought, then you have the power, no matter what it is as an event, to choose the way you're going to think about it and you're going to feel about it. You are the master, and you can become, if you're not yet, the master of your thought, the master of your energy. I'm not saying that the thought won't pop in and from time to time, but when you catch them, then it becomes simple to know, oh, I have to interrupt that cycle. Otherwise, my whole day will be filled with crap.
Well, and I believe that, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just want to identify the fact that there's mastery in even identifying it before you even put in place the pattern interrupt. The one of the hardest things to do is to identify that moment.
And to fight the ego, because the ego will be here to just like have you stay grumpy, have you stay moody. And the thing is, if you don't identify it, then you cannot interrupt the pattern. And that go even further, because if you don't interrupt the pattern and you stay in that state for a few hours, then you're moody. If you stay in that state for a few days, then you have an attitude. For a few weeks, it's a temper. And then for years and years, if you stay in that mood, it becomes a trait of your personality. So back to your vision. Who do you want to be? Do you want that to define your personality? That moment, that specific moment where instead of choosing peace and interrupting that negative angriness or whatever it is, low vibe emotion, you just kept going and ruminating about that and being in loop, because there is no growth here until you interrupt. The loop will just like keep going on and building up until it becomes your personality. But you have the power to interrupt it. Do you have something to add from that, Patrice? I know it was like abrupt. No, I'm going to jump on another idea, but I know that I'm jumping so fast from ideas to ideas, so I want to just like...
The honest truth is, in that moment, I was so fully engaged in what you were saying that you were like, do you have an idea? And I was like, no, I have no ideas. That was really... And so I forgot for a second that I was actually part of the conversation. I was so enthralled.
So number one, you identify, and number two, we interrupt. And so identifying, big part of it, interrupting, another big part of it. But you cannot jump onto interrupted if you haven't identified the pattern first.
That is correct. That's right.
And we had a vivid conversation just before about how we interrupt the negative BS, the negative momentum, the negative patterns that we are building. And it's just us. That's crazy, because we have the power to build crap but we also have the power to build amazing, amazing feelings, thoughts, ideas, action, results.
Mhm.
I'm going to show you the graphic, and then we're going to talk about interrupting the pattern, because I do believe that the graphic makes a lot of sense. So let's see here, natural cycle. All right, can you see it correctly? It's not too small.
We can see it. Do you want to put it in presentation?
Let's do it in presentation so that it's even bigger.
Mhm.
All right. So this is for you to understand what we are talking about. You have an idea, you have your vision of what's going to happen, which bring up some thoughts, right? So I'm going to do it with a business idea. I'm going to launch that pre-work course, right? This is the idea that I have and the thought that I developed from it. It's going to be successful. We're going to have 20 funding partners, and it's going to be a massive success. From those thoughts, I feel empowered. I feel like, whoa, I can do it. It's fantastic, beautiful, and I know exactly what I'm going to do because I know what I want to create. So I'm going to take some actions. From my action, I'm going to take amazing results. Boom, the 5 first funding partner are recruited. And that's going to be setting me up for expansion. My results are going to set me up for expansion. And from those 5 new members, new students that I can help, that we can help, I'm going to have another idea to enroll even more, to help even more people. And I'm going to keep building up onto that momentum. By the way, interrupting the pattern can go on both sides. Let's say I have my 5 first, and then the thought that I have is I have 5, I'm never going to have like more. 5 is like the limit. So here my thought has become like a low vibe thought. There is no right or wrong, it's just a low vibe thought. From thinking that, I literally now feel stressed, anxious. Oh my God, I'm never going to have my 20 people. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. Now I want to react and I want to like post on social media, just call people, being that crazy person with the intention of selling and not with the intention of helping and serving. So my action won't show the result that I'm expected. I have no one who wants to talk with me because I'm a crazy person who just want to sell something. And there is no value behind what I present, right? Here I have 2 choices. I can stay in the same mood and become moody, and it becomes an attitude and becomes a temper, and then it becomes a personality trait and people know me for being pushy. Or I can interrupt the pattern again and expand to new ideas and new thoughts, a new set of thoughts. How do we do that? Do you have anything before we go into interrupting the pattern, Patrice? Do you have anything you want to add onto that graphic, which I call the creation cycle?
My favorite part is actually the interrupting part. I have the ideas about interrupting, because here's the thing. Oftentimes what we want to do is we want to expand on the ideas, right? But we still have ego, and there's nothing you can do about the ego. But sometimes what we can do is we can value the ego for what it is, right? There was a time where it served, there was and sometimes the ego even has a point, because we need to make adjustments and we need to do things that maybe we didn't think of the first time. But when we can embrace that and say, thank you, ego, and really make the diligent effort to sort of step into that and say, okay, it didn't look the way that I intended. My intention was to have 25 people. But what I'm really going to do is I'm going to dig in. I'm going to dig in so deep to these 5 people and give them every ounce of myself, knowing that those other 20 people are waiting for me. I just wasn't quite ready. My program wasn't quite ready. It doesn't mean that they've disappeared. It just means that this wasn't the moment. and the universe often knows things that we don't. So it's about really leaning into that, knowing that what's out there is still out there. Those dreams haven't gone away. They are just presenting themselves in a way that wasn't how you intended. And that's the master
Unknown.
move. Mhm.
Absolutely. And I love how you talk your thought out. And that was a conversation that we had before. You actually have several ways of interrupting that pattern with ease and flow. Number
Mm.
one, just as Patrice did, you talk to your thoughts, so you interact with your mind. And and you have those thoughts, but you have that conversation between your ego self and your divine self. And they say, no, you
Mhm.
were not ready. Like, look deeper inside you, and you work your thought out. So that is the interrupting the pattern with your mind.
Mhm.
The cool thing is that as human being, you're just not a mind. You are a soul, a mind, a body, and even more. But
And
those three
everything else.
components
Yeah.
are so important, because if you cannot interrupt the pattern within your mind, you still have different options through the soul or through your body to interrupt the pattern. I'm going to
Mhm.
give you an example. Through your soul would be to bring your soul back. The best way to do that is to minimize the noise around you. Meditation is one of the best way to
Mm.
do so. One of the best way. You sit in silence, you close everything so you don't receive any noises from social media, from people, from your family, your kids, everyone. You cut everything out so you don't pay attention and you don't spend energy on things that do not serve you at the moment. You go back inner side so that you can hear your soul. Because,
Mm.
by the way, you are the best guide ever, and you have all the answer to your question deep inside.
Mhm.
So you lower the noise, you even quiet the noise, and you let the soul take over and give you the answer, which will enable you to switch your thoughts. So your soul will have an effect on your mind and your thoughts. And then you can expand from that loop and building up the positive momentum back.
Mhm.
The third way of interrupting the pattern, and it's probably the fastest, and if you're not very crazy about meditation, can just be like the sweet spot for you. And it's actually to move your body physically, to
Mhm.
jump into cold water, into a pool, to have an electroshock physically, so that it calms down your nervous system and you can now think more clearly. So you calm down your nervous system, you take a cold shower, you jump on the pool, you go for a walk, you exercise like crazy, like cardio mostly, so that your brain is somewhere safe. And you
Mhm.
create an electroshock to change your body metabolism so you can
Mhm.
now think clearly. There is another way, which is a third one, which is really like with your heart centered. And it's really like changing the way you breathe. The
Mhm.
same way as jumping into cold water, this will change your heart rate. This will change the inside of your body, and this will regulate your metabolism to think
Mhm.
clearly. Because the first thing that changes when you're stressed out, when you have those crazy thoughts, is the way you breathe. You
Mhm.
stress and suddenly you're like, not not
Mhm.
breathing anymore, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
You're t
you have to understand that your brain just receives some information and interpret those information. So the stress that you're feeling doesn't mean that there is like an imminent stress in front of you. Most of the time, it comes from the past, it comes from the future, and you bring that into the present moment. Your
Mhm.
energy is spread out into the future or into the past, and you're bringing that into the present moment. And you cannot breathe anymore because your
Mhm.
intention is spread everywhere else. So when you go back to your breathing right now, you bringing up your energy, you bringing back your energy to the present moment, and you changing the way it's functioning inside.
Mhm.
And so now you can see more clearly. A lot
Mm.
of talking as always.
Yeah, but it's always good information. And it's always a reason to come back and view the video again.
Absolutely. I want to make sure that there is no question about what we just talked about. I want to make sure that, Patrice, you have nothing else to add for today. We have, of course, many things to add, but we keep that as a teaser.
Yes, I always have something to add, but I think that for today, we are complete.
We are complete. That is beautiful. For those of you who are so interesting about this type of work, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you are being, let us know, because it's just like our jam, and we could talk about that over and over and over. And when you understand that there is no separation between you and your business and your relationship and the divine and the energy field, right? That's when you experience quantum leap and quantum growth in your life and in your business. So if you're slightly interested about the type of work that we are doing here, just comment below, DM us, and we will be in touch with free resources and stuff to help you get started in the most effortless and genuine way possible.
We also want to
go back.
Well, we also want to know, how this resonates in your own life, in your own business. We want to support you in your growth. So even if we want you to comment. We want to hear from you.
Couldn't agree more. I do believe that it's the reason why we're doing everything. So comment, my darlings. Let us know how you feel about that. Let us know as well if it's relevant for you, because it's so important for us to know that we deliver something that is helping you to activate, to access the quantum field, that energy field that where everything is possible. We want you to access that and to really manifest on purpose your biggest dream and have those big quantum leap right now. Thank you very much, my love, for being with me this morning. I'm so good to have you back.
It's so good to be back. I am so thrilled to be in the room again and just to feel the love and the energy.
Me too. Mwah. Sending you all love and have a fantastic rest of the week, everyone.